Do 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 do. All right, let's get all this going. We're live. We're live right now. We're live. We are live. Do, do, do,
This brand new swing trainer is quick.
Hope everyone's doing well. Hello to Mark J.W. Graham and a whoop from, wow, Patrick Niedermeyer. Howdy from the Ozarks. Hello. Hello to Tim Robinson. We are just having a good old time. Live stream right now. All right, let's see. Oh yeah. Let's see. Howdy from the Ozarks. You are live. Yes, Martin Small, I'm live. Howdy, Zach, everyone here. We are live. Yes, sir. Have you played a new American Professional 2 Telly yet? No, I have not, but I have played my old faithful, and I got to play it, you know, for a little bit. Let's see if this thing catches up. I'm trying to get my my computer here to Thank you, Shannon. My screen is still not, let's see, I'm gonna reset this and see if I can, here we finally go. Okay, all right. Have you tried the Strymon Cloudburst? No, I haven't. I know that's a new reverb pedal. Tim Robinson says, got great tone, thank you. Been watching for 3 months, great Telecaster info. I'm a steady Telecaster player and enjoy your in-depth knowledge on neck shapes, etc. Oh, thank you. Groove in C. Yeah, something I'm, you know, just mess around with this. Hey, to anyone who watched the Chris Scruggs interview, do you know what he played on his intro? It's deceptively difficult. Scruggs is a really great player and multi-instrumentalist and singer and yeah, it's yeah, that's one of the arts is making you know, things that are somewhat hard to play but yet are also melodic and not, overly verbose or notey or such. Hey, Zach from Captain Sexy 90. I love that name. Tongus Grump, black or white guard. I like white guards, but I have a blackguard also, so that I like to play. In fact, yeah, I'm gonna with that, if I can do this without unplug, I better stick with this guitar. We can make this a blackguard real quick. So we can just take this and we can put it right over the. Look, it's a blackguard. And immediately it sounds darker and more compressed. That's a joke. All right. Ginger or exactly. No, I actually prefer white guards slightly, but I have a great appreciation for black guards too. So let's see. Yeah, that guy's a killer musician. Yes, Chris is. Mark Larkin's music. I'm a hybrid style picker and I like to play 1-3-5 harmony. Have you tried this technique for harmonious melody? I mean, just playing a 1, 3, and 5 plucking with your fingers? Or are you talking about having a 1, 3, 5? Oh, like a harmony, a harmonized line the whole time. Wow, that's very cool. Tim Robinson, haha. Stainless steel frets on an old Telly neck. I don't have any problem with it. I think the stainless steel is supposed to last longer. Some people say that it's brighter, but man, I don't know. Or maybe it'd be harder on your strings, but who cares? I'd rather it be that. I don't know. I have not played a guitar that had stainless steel frets on it yet. Captain Sexy says you need a rosewood Telly, maybe a 66 transition logo one. That would fit perfectly into your arsenal. Yes, I would love that. I would love a 66 transition logo, rosewood board Telly. I would more than love that. So if anyone wants to make a donation, I'll give you my address and you can send it my way. Next episodes, how pickguards affect tone. Yes, I instantly thought it was more compressed. Yes, yeah, because the porousness of the black bakelite material absorbs more of the high end and it creates a softer sound. Yeah. Oh, golly. Joshua Garcia says, love the show. Thank you. Yes, 1-3-5 simultaneous melody. That's a very cool technique. All right. Well, first off, I wanted to tell a story. So I've kind of dabbled with TikTok. I mean, sometimes I get to where I don't like it, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, but I really wasn't posting much to TikTok for a while, and so more recently I started, and there's a guy that supports the show, and real nice guy. He has a channel on TikTok called Telecasters Anonymous, and he replayed a clip of Brian Wampler telling a story about how things got started with he and Brad Paisley. And so, and maybe he didn't remember this, but I was Brad's guitar tech when the story that he told, when it happened. And it is as Brian said, but there's some funny parts that he didn't mention in the story, and so I'm going to tell it to you now. So I'm a pretty easygoing guy, except I just have a few little foibles, and it's like I don't really like to get my day started without a shower. And so again, this was 20 plus years ago, working for Brad Paisley as his guitar tech, and it was one of those days where I didn't get to take a shower, and we had to start setting up and everything. And we were in Indiana, and I wasn't in a great mood, and I'm putting Guitar World together, which is Off stage, this is where I've got, all my stuff to work on guitars. I've got all the guitars, on a guitar rack. You're probably familiar with what a guitar world looks like, and whenever they show backstage footage, like on Rig Rundown or something like that. So I'm setting that up, and all of a sudden this dude, appears out of nowhere, and he doesn't have a laminate on. And so, laminate, everyone's supposed to be wearing a laminate, or you're supposed to be security with like a badge or something, or you're working for the venue. So this guy didn't work for the venue, he was not security, and he didn't have a laminate. And all of a sudden he just shows up and he starts asking me all these questions about Brad's equipment, about guitars, amps, and seemed specifically most interested in pedals. And at that point, I was not in a good mood, but at the same time, I told myself, it's like, hey, treat people how you want to be treated. Obviously, he's a fan or a guitar lover, and so, treat him nice, treat him with respect. And so I did. And at one point, he said, hey, can I get Brad's 68 Paisley Telecaster, and will you take a picture of me with it? And at that point, I was a little bit kind of aghast, but he was cool about it. He asked first. He didn't just grab it. So I said, sure. So I handed him the guitar. I took his, of course, this was 20 plus years ago when people still used digital cameras. It was before using iPhones and stuff. And so take a picture of it, and then he leaves. Well, then later on, after the gig or during the gig, that's when Brian Wampler, and that's who this dude was. It was Brian Wampler, who he was a complete nobody. He hadn't started Wampler pedals. He was just doing a few pedal mods. He threw this pedal on stage, and it was a Boss OD3 that he put this gigantic, like Gibson style toggle switch. I mean, like a Les Paul toggle switch on the side of it. And it had a piece of tape. I mean, it actually had a rubber band. It had a rubber band holding his business card on it. And Brad handed it to me, and that was the beginning. And so, not long after that, I on good terms left Brad, and Chad Weaver, took things over. But that was the beginning of the relationship between Brian Wampler and Brad Paisley. And then, of course, from there they went on and created the Paisley Drive and all sorts of other things. So anyway. Just thought it'd be fun to pass on my, my part of Wampler's story. And I'm proud of Brian's success. He's done really well. And also, frankly, that OD3 pedal that he threw on the stage was not great. But the thing is that even when I gave him the feedback that we didn't love it, he didn't give up. He kept creating new things, and he kept working hard, and he worked hard toward what Brad wanted. And hats off to Brian Wampler. All right, let's see. Emmanuel has a few questions. Favorite amp you have, and one, I guess, when or what you wish you had. My favorite all-time amp is my 65 Deluxe Reverb. I'm playing through my Headstrong today just because it's better for this kind of thing. And actually I've been gigging with it too, and it's just a little more portable. But yeah, the Deluxe Reverb or Princeton with a 12, those are my favorites. Any amp that I want, I kind of want a Standell amplifier. I would love to have a Standell like Reggie Young used when he was cutting records with the Bill Black combo and opening for the Beatles. I would love to have that kind of amp. So, oh, thank you, Gruber Amps. Zach, what is the recommended JBL 12 for Fender Champ amp? They do make a there is a JBL 8-inch speaker from the D series, which is Alnico. I can't remember the model number, but that would be the one, and make sure it's the right ohmage. Converted my American Standard with a Kluson ashtray retrofit tailpiece and brass saddles. Like it way better now. Awesome. I think it's, it's so much fun to upgrade your guitars, especially in ways that can be reversed. Always keep the old parts, and that's a great thing about a Telecaster is you can change all sorts of things about it and then decide, what you like best. Happy Sunday, Zach and friends. Thank you, Timmy Thompson. David G, have you tried a Nacho Telly yet? I have. I've played many Nacho Tellys, and I I really love them a lot. I kind of have my own version of a Nacho that that Brad Paisley put together for me, and Nacho, I showed it to Nacho, and Nacho gave it the his approval. So I kind of feel like I have a Brad Paisley Nacho guitar. So I feel like I ought to yank it out. I'm gonna try not to destroy my guitar. All right, and we're back. Sorry that took so long. Oh, let's see. What do you think about the grease bucket tone? I don't know enough about it, John. I'm sorry. What do you think about Charlie Christian pickups on a Telly? I think they're really cool. I've played one or two of them. They're really clear, and they really get kind of more of the string sound, if that makes sense. They're really cool. I mean, an original one, of course, or even a real copy, you have to rat out a lot of wood to do that, but it's really cool. Looking to swap out the stock 12-inch Jensen out of my Princeton reissue for something that would work with some high-end Dumble pedals. Thanks in advance. Well, I really like the Eminence Alessandro speaker. It's called the GA64. I think it's a good compromise speaker, because really my favorite clean speaker for a Fender is a JBL, and my favorite kind of dirt, speaker for overdrive or with pedals and stuff like that is the Vintage 30. And I think the Alessandro ceramic speaker is a really good compromise. It's like $120. It's definitely worth checking out. Yeah. Let's see. Ever tried the DiMarzio Twang King bridge pickup? No, I have not. DiMarzio makes great stuff. I've used DiMarzio pickups in the past, specifically their area pickups, and even before that, their different hum canceling pickups, going back to like the HS2 and stuff like that, those stacked 80s humbuckers that looked like, regular single coils. Just got here. What is your blackguard year? So this was put together by Brad Paisley. This was a gift. So he made it from a combination of old and new parts, and he did all the finishing and wear himself. So all of this wear, and I'm going to put it up close to the camera, he did this. He painted it, he beat it. Really cool, cool gift. I was kind of flabbergasted. Let's see. Smelly Telly says, hello there. Thoughts on TK Smith pickups compared to vintage Bixby? I haven't had the opportunity to compare those. I would love to, because I'm a fan of Bixby style guitars and pickups and such, and TK Smith. Any good Glazer stories? Golly, Joe Glazer is one of my heroes. I mean, I don't think there's anyone more knowledgeable about, guitars and repairing them and building them and such. And I think what's interesting about him was he wanted to be a guitar builder And then he realized through building them, and he liked building them for specific people. So like the purple Telecaster that he built for Ricky Skaggs, or like lap steel that he made for Jerry Douglas, the great dobro player, or like these guitars he made for Steve Wariner, or or Jimmy Olander with Diamond Rio. I mean, those were all. But then what happened was then everybody wanted copies of those guitars. People would call up and they say, "I want a purple Telly like Ricky's," or "I want a double bender Telly," and with the Mother Maybell thing and the whole 9 yards. And he kind of, it began to not be as artistic for him. And so he found that he really didn't want to be a builder, and he found that he really enjoyed repairs more. And of course, he really enjoys difficult repairs. And see, every time you're with a repair, it's something different every time. And so he found that he needed that stimulation instead of having to make the same thing over and over again, which the complete contrast to that would be Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones was one of the great repairmen here in town. He found that he didn't like doing repairs, and so he got out of the repair business and he started making those great Dan Electro style guitars, and he made those for many years until he retired and shut down the company. Oh, talk about timing. Thanks to you and Guthrie and Uncle Larry and JD and Jerry. Oh, he got his first Danocaster single cut on Friday. Well, congratulations. I love Dan and all those cats. They're great guitars. Have you tried those signature Brad Paisley Sparkle Telly and Esquire? The neck has a strange contour. Does his guitar's necks? Yeah, they have a very pronounced V, and that's my dog barking right now. So, yes, they have a very strong, kind of V quality to them. And I like V necks. In fact, the neck that he put on this guitar has a very much a V shape to it. I'm very happy and comfortable with it. I'm having Joe put a bender in my new Dano. He installed one on my 2004 Nocaster. Great experience. Such a nice guy. He is. And I don't have any qualms about, I have qualms about putting benders on vintage Tellys that are like not refins, but like Danos and custom shop guitars. I think that's a great thing. I've got 2 Glazer benders. I've got one on a Paisley Crook and one on a Danocaster. So, oh, do you like the factory Fender pickups, Texas Specials? Texas Special Telly pickups are fine. The ones I like even better are actually the Pure 64s. I think especially the bridge and neck pickup are really, really cool. Those are kind of my favorite Fender, factory pickups right now are the 64 models. And I like the bridge pickup in the Brad Paisley models. Become a PRS guy. And it sounds so muddy. I can't figure out what I don't know. I usually don't have problems with a Telly being muddy sounding. That's interesting. Zach, since you interviewed Bill Crook, would you ever consider interviewing Roger Horde? Absolutely. Roger Horde is a friend and a hero. I love Roger Horde. Roger Horde is really important he really needs to be interviewed because he's an important part of Brad Paisley's playing style. And when I met Brad in college, 30 years ago, there was this element to his playing that it was like, there was an element that you could hear from like John Jorgensen. There was elements of like a little bit of Jimmy Olander. There was a little bit of Greg Jennings. There were some other cats, but there was this part in his playing. I was like, where is this coming from? And then when I met Roger Horde and heard him play, I was like, that's where it's coming from. So the really fast single note lines that sometimes have these almost like random notes in there, but he lands on the right notes at the right time, that comes from Roger Horde. That's how important Roger Horde is. Do you like bare knuckle pickups? I've tried them once or twice in other people's guitars. I just haven't had the situation where I was swapping pickups out a whole lot. I kind of, I've kind of got a relationship with Ron Ellis, and I have some old Peter Florence pickups. He was a friend, and he's no longer with us. But between the Florence pickups that I have and Ron Ellis pickups, I'm kind of in good shape, and I haven't really done a lot of trying of other pickups. Let's see. Let's see. Just learned something about is digital because of ROH director. Golly, that went by too fast. Sorry. You know Hepcat pickups? No, I don't. PRS guitars sound sterile to me. Pretty to look at, or show no go. I like PRS guitars, but I will qualify that. The only one that I really like is the DGT, and then I like the Mira with the Bixby. I like those two of the PRS. The rest of the PRS guitars kind of leave me cold, and that's not to say they're not amazing instruments. And I have a world of respect for Paul Reed Smith, and especially the fact that he founded this company in the late 70s, early 80s, and it's still going strong, and he still owns it. So I mean, he's way outlived your Ted McCartys or your Leo Fenders or anyone like that. And it's amazing to think about this one visionary that's still running his company. I'm sure there's other, ownership involved and such, but I have a world of respect for Paul. What pickups can you recommend for a thin line 69 for vintage tone? On the cheap, I would get the Pure 64 Fender Telecaster set. I think that's a great set for a 60s type sound. If you want to spend more money, then I would get the Ellis T60 and the Standard Plus neck pickup. So there you are. So there you got, so you can either go, like $150 or $500. There's your, let's see. Okay, I prefer the 3-saddle bridge because there's more downward pressure and it just creates a different sound. Also, part of the sound is the fact that this metal is really thin and bent, and it has, I get, people laugh at me because I like the doinkiness, because it's, it's the whole thing is. Let me try that again. There's just something about this type of bridge that creates that sound. And as soon as you put thicker metal on there and more saddles, individual string saddles, it just loses part of that quality, and which probably makes it better for certain things. But, I want the doinkiness. I want all that stuff. Barry H, thank you so much. Do you have any recommendations for affordable P90s for a Telly? Yeah, the Wolf Tone, that's a nice P90. They have the Mean and the Meaner. I think the Mean is a good one. The Duncan Antiquities are, a nice P90. If you want to get a little pricier, then I'd go with the Ellis. The Ellis, P90 is a great pickup. That's a good, cross section of price points. But all those have a good sound, and they're not like, some crazy overwound thing that's gonna not gonna sound right. Let's see. What kind of pickups is JD using in his Danocaster? Those are, the front pickup is I can't remember if it's a T-top or it's a 60s Gibson humbucker that's in the neck. And the back pickup is a real 55 bridge pickup. I just can't remember whether it's rewound or not. But that's a great guitar that he has, and it's a great set of pickups. That was Dan's personal guitar, and JD fell in love with it, and Dan sold it to him, and he made him pay a premium for it because of the vintage pickups, because it had another $1,000 plus worth of pickups, and so he paid above the going rate. So Dan doesn't give away guitars. He can't. I mean, he's one guy building guitars, and he has a couple guys that help him part-time. So that's a great Telly. if you were going to have a Telly neck refinish to have the broken in feel, who out there that does that? I mean, this isn't gonna look amazing, but a really good finish on the back of the neck is just super glue. So what you can do is you can just get super glue and you can smear it all over here. You can let it dry, and then you can sand it down with like, you know, what is that? The kind of metally sandpaper stuff. Yeah, you can use that, and that will do a really good job of having kind of a broken feel. It's not going to look old. If you're wanting to relic it and stuff like that, you know, you're gonna have to actually find someone that can do that. But you could do the super glue kind of thing, and it would work well. That's Shannon Arnold. Thank you again. Congratulations to Johnny Hyland, Country Music Hall of Fame of today. By the way, Ricky Skaggs has the most respect for you, Johnny. Very nice. Johnny in red. Well, thank you. That's very, very nice. Thank you, Shannon. Tim Shaw Hot Vintage is good pickups. I'm sure it is. Tim Shaw has always created good pickups, whether it's for Gibson or Fender. I mean, he's a great pickup, you know, designer, winder. Curtis, hey Zach, have you ever got to meet Marty Stewart? Play his Clarence White Telly. I have met Marty, but it was under bad circumstances where the Clarence White guitar was missing. So the airline had misplaced it, and he was kind of beside himself, and he was just kind of freaked out. And that was how I met him. And I helped him borrow a Telly from Bernie Ledden from the Eagles. I kind of helped facilitated that. And so that was kind of the element in which I met Marty, which I would like to meet him under better circumstances, but I haven't seen him since. I have been able to mess with the Clarence White guitar a couple of times. I've gotten to play it, and I've got to look at it. And actually I ended up lubing the saddle because it was squeaking like crazy. And this was like right before a gig, and he wasn't there yet, and it was just squeaking. And so I just got just a touch of oil and put it on there and moved around so that it wasn't squeaking anymore, you know, because it was literally, you know, it was the string going across the bridge that was making the squeaking sound. Oh, let's see. My neck pickup is lost in time on my late 60s Telly. What would you put in there? I really like the, on the cheap, I would get the Fender 64 neck pickup. On the expensive side, I would get the Ellis Standard Plus neck. And the Standard Plus neck by Ellis has a nickel silver cover, so it's clearer sounding than the brass cover. So like this is a 54 neck pickup that I have on this guitar, and it has an original brass cover, and it's darker. And that's why, sorry, I'm thinking I have a different guitar in my hand, you know, but anyway, brass covers on neck pickups make them darker. So, but anyway, yeah, the Standard Plus neck pick from Ron Ellis or the 64 neck pickup from Fender. It's just whatever one you want to, you know, throw down on. Let's see. Good morning from Australia. Ask Zach is the best way to start my day. Well, thank you. Hanging Chad. MJT in Missouri does Relic Finishes. Yes, they do. I've seen really good stuff from MJT, and I've seen stuff that was not amazing too. And so that's not to poison you on that at all. I would just, I saw a 68 Telly neck that was refinished that they claimed, so maybe I should be careful in saying this. The person was selling it claimed MJT refinished it, and it was hideous. So, and I thought about buying it for a minute, but it was just like, who knows what all had been done to it. All right. Hey, Zach from Maximilian Mengwasser. Cameron Leslie. Hey, Zach, I have a Tokai 52 reissue T style guitar. Have you? Yes, I love Tokais, and I've been searching for, I had an 80s Tokai. It was like a 62 reissue Tokai Telly, and it was pink, Pepto-Bismol pink, white pickguard, and a rosewood board. It was a killer guitar. Brad Paisley helped me pick the guitar out. We went to Cotton Music it's a store that's no longer open. It's now National Guitar or something. It was bought out and they changed the name of it. But it was an amazing guitar. And I love Tokais. I think they're really well made. I think they have good finishes. I mean, even their poly finishes are really thin, and they just do great stuff. Unless a Tokai has been hacked up, they're usually great guitars. Their 335s are amazing. Their Les Pauls, yeah. Tokais are a killer buy. The breezy sound, yeah. You ever have days where all overdrive sounds like a ton of overdrive? Yes. Basil Tiffany. I hate overdrive pedals in general, and I tend to play clean most of the time, or I want to turn my amp up where it just starts to get a little hair, and then I want to hit it with a boost pedal. I just really don't like overdrive pedals, and because to me they all sound fake to me. And the Ibanez Distortion is the only one that I kind of like, and even then I kind of get tired of it. Sometimes I'll use like an old Nobles. I've got an original Nobles that Bukovac convinced me to buy 20 plus years ago, and I'll still use it every once in a while when I want that kind of, where the note has a lot of cholesterol on it, where even your high E string sounds really big. It does that well, but to me it doesn't sound like the amp anymore. It sounds like channel switching, but I mean, it's a good sound. What's the best metal for the bridge? Steel? I think steel. For the bridge itself, thin steel. And I think just the regular old reissue Fender bridge is the one to get. And then it's just, these saddles are ones that, I think these are ones, Brad got these from Seymour Duncan. So I think Duncan was selling brass saddles. And so then Glazer gave it the little twist to kind of make it to where it would intonate well. So, hi from Belgium. Ever try flat wound strings? No, I've never really been interested because I don't want less twang. And so I like pure nickel strings because they still have plenty of twang, but they're softer sounding. But I would never go past pure nickel as far as that. Also, there's just, yeah, I think I would go pure nickel before I went to flat wounds. I don't have any problem with that, and it's a great sound. I like players that use it. Get some Gemini pickups before they get more expensive. I'm not familiar with those, but you can tell us more about it or send me an email. Any idea what humbucker Keith Richard uses in the neck position on his Telly? I mean, it looks like it's got a nickel cover, so that would mean pre-65. So that means it's either a PAF or an early, serial number 1. And then the back pickup is most definitely on Macabre. That is a late 60s lap steel pickup with gray flat work and staggered pole pieces. It is not a flat pole pickup. Also, it's wired with a blend control like a broadcaster. So, and that's why you'll see a lot of the time that Keith will play in this position, which is just the neck humbucker, or he'll go to this position, which is just the bridge pickup, and then he blends in as much of the humbucker as he wants. And that's the key to the Keith Richards sound. B-bender with a Bixby, too much? I don't know. I mean, I guess you could take the part of the Bixby off and you could put a Bixby palm bender on there. So, I don't know. But to me, it would be too much to have both a tremolo, like a whammy bar, and a B-bender. Thanks for teaching me the V30 speaker is the best for deluxe reverb. It has solved all my tone needs. It's a really great speaker. It's one of my all-time favorites. What's your preferred boost pedal? I like, for a more transparent boost, I like the old original RC booster, the white one that they came out with 20 years ago. Those were like 120 bucks used. It's got bass and treble controls. That's a great boost. If you want, that touch of mid-range thing, then get the Archer Icon. I mean, that's the whole Klon thing. And then if you want it to be a clean boost, you just don't turn the gain above like 9 o'clock. And then the third option would be just get a Boss EQ pedal. and just bump the mids up and the total volume up. I mean, those are your three boost options. Any of those will do a killer job, and they're all under $150. Oh, I like my VS XO True Tone pedal through my deluxe reverb. That is a great pedal, and yeah, and that's a good combination with a deluxe. Let's see. Hey Zach, can't thank you enough for demoing the Ron Ellis 52T and Julian Lage for me. Yeah, that's a fantastic set. That's what was in my Danocaster, blackguard that I had to sell to get my Esquire. But that's a great combination. I was always said if you need a pedal for overdrive, what you need is a smaller amp or at least one with less headroom. That's why I got this Headstrong amp that I'm playing through today, is because I just wanted something with a little less headroom, so that I could turn the amp up a little bit more and kind of get it closer to that, closer to the sweet spot. Well, let's see. For me, the best Telly pickups on earth. Yes, talking about the Ron Ellis, the 52T and the JL. That's an amazing combination. Have you tried the Sewer Andy Wood signature Telly pickups? I have not. I don't really have a lot of experience with Sewer, guitars. I certainly have a ton of respect for John and his history in the music industry, and of course he's built stuff for all sorts of wonderful players. This is my favorite question. What kind of dog do you have? I have a black Cocker Spaniel named Mabel. And she's an amazing dog, and what makes her amazing is that she likes me best. And anyone out there who has a dog knows that a dog will usually pick one person as their favorite person, and she picked me, and we love going for walks and hanging out together. She's my buddy. Oh, when you started playing, were you a rock and roll guy, or did you get straight into country? I kind of feel that people that focus on one love get better faster than players with mixed alliances. I started out, I was listening to, my parents didn't let me listen to rock music, and nor really country either. So I was listening to instrumental music, and I was listening to Christian music, and I was listening, so I was listening to like the Ventures, and Walk Don't Run, Pipeline, Perfidia, things like that. That's what I was, and this was in the 1980s. And then of course I was hearing stuff on the bus like Van Halen. I was hearing Jump and Panama and other things like that. But I think early on I was very focused on, cleanish guitar sounds. And the rock stuff I did get into was like Booker T and the MGs or early Beatles. I love the Beatles, but to me, I love the Beatles pre-Sgt. Pepper. Sgt. Pepper, they kind of lose me. I still like the Abbey Road album, but yeah. So, yeah, I guess I was always kind of focused on what you'd call roots rock in country. I didn't get into country music until I was a senior in high school, and it was because of an Eric Clapton record, Just One Night, which had Albert Lee, which brought me to Emmylou Harris, and Emmylou Harris took me to Ricky Skaggs and Merle Haggard and Buck Owens and all sorts of other things. Do you think the quest for tone ever ends? I think, I think you have to come to a place of realizing that practice makes your tone better. And the more that you play guitar, the better. And then it's just finding out, it takes time to figure out what you like though. It takes time to figure out what you're comfortable with. And so then it's just about finding, it's like, for me, it's like, okay, I like a vintage radius and I like a V-neck, but I want bigger frets. And it's like, if I have a guitar with that and that has, kind of, normal kind of single coil-ish, pickups, I can get by with it. And then an amp that produces a decent, warm, clean sound, I can do it. I can go direct, I can play through an Iridium, I can, so I think part of it is just finding out what works for you, and sometimes it takes a while. Oh, let's see, I think I missed a comment here. Please do an episode about fuzz, distortion, and overdrive. I'm 47 and don't know the difference. Shannon, that's a good topic. I need to you know, there have been some good videos about those things, but yeah, that would be a great topic. I'll have to cobble that together. Smelly Telly says, favorite place to eat in Nashville. Could my pals take you out for lunch next time we're in town? Sure. There is one of my favorite places is El Tapatio number 2. It's on Nolensville Road, and that's where JD and I like to go eat tacos. It's a hole-in-the-wall taco joint, and it's really good. It's inexpensive. They have it's just good. They have good salsas. It's like they bring you like 4 different types of salsa, and it's just the little street tacos, little corn tortillas with the different type of meat, and I'll get like barbacoa de cabeza or carnitas or the spicy pork or different things like that. So, thoughts on Nashville, Tennessee versus Texas? I love Nashville, but everyone seems much more serious. I lived in Texas the first 20 years of my life, and of course the next 30 years, pretty much I've lived in Nashville. I love Texas and I miss Texas, but I don't really want to go back at this point, especially just because all my family's here and my wife's family, and so wouldn't make any sense. But I've always liked Texas, and my favorite part of Texas is like San Antonio and such. Austin has just kind of gotten it's just so far removed from the Austin I knew. Because I knew Austin in the 80s and 90s, which even then it was losing its funkiness, and now it's just so there's still cool stuff to do there, and there's still cool players there, so I shouldn't slag on Austin at all. But yeah. Ever played steel guitar? And who would be your favorite player? My favorite player is Buddy Emmons, and I love the stuff that he played, with Ray Price and with Ernest Tubb. I really loved the stuff that Buddy Emmons did in the kind of late 50s, early 60s. I think that was some of his, most stellar, like him on Nightlife with Ray Price and things like that. I just love the tone and the feel and everything about that. Also, I love J.D. Maness, who played with Buck Owens, and I love Tom Brumley, who played with Buck Owens. Norm Hamlet, Ralph Mooney. Besides Emmons, I tend to like California steel players. I tend to like, the Buck and Merle guys. I tried to play steel guitar, and it was so much of a boot to the head that I quit. Yep. Does your Danocaster have bigger frets, or what Dan typically uses? It's what he typically uses. It's like not quite as tall as 6105s, but bigger than vintage. And that's what I have on most of my guitars. And that's when I have, even my vintage Tellys have been refretted with that wire. Did you keep the Chris Stapleton Princeton? It is on loan to my buddy Austin. So he's been gigging with it. He put an Electro Voice and EVM 12 in there, and he's been gigging with it, and he has not returned it. So I still have it, but I don't have it with me. So it's a great amp. I think it's probably, the best of all the hand-wired series. I think it's probably the best one. Sgt. Pepper is when they learned to become more studio musicians than a band. Yeah. Austin is weird in not a good way anymore. All right. I don't believe the Beatles even played on their first 6 albums. I don't know about that. Let's see, Luna. Hey, Zach, what gauge strings do you use on your Telecasters, and what tunings do you typically use? Luna, I use D'Addario. I get in a lot of trouble with you guys for not saying this. I would say D'Addario, but it's D'Addario strings, and I like the 9.5 through 44. So it's like halfway in between a 9 set and a 10 set, and I like the NYXL material, and that's what I have on most of my guitars. Sometimes I'll go up to the 10 gauge, but part of it's just been I've been working through the whole arthritis thing, and I'm kind of getting my hand strength back up. And I hope to at some point go back up to 10s, but 9.5s are really great too. I was just glad I didn't, I was playing 9s for a little while. That was all I could really fret. And I'm glad that I can play 9.5s. So, yes, during the cartoon series, exactly, Ian. Emmanuel says, have you bought yourself a Brent Mason Telly after the episode about it? No, I liked that guitar. That was just a loaner from Fender. Fender, you know, I asked to check it out, and they loaned it to me. And then it was, you know, definitely a, you know, hey, you know, tell us when you're finished with it. You know, it was not a gift, which I didn't expect it to be a gift by any means. But I went through a phase of, I had one of my guitars set up identical to Brent Mason's guitar in the 90s. So in the 90s, I had one of my Tellys. It was the one, it's the Telly that has a Danocaster neck on it now. It's the black one with 3 pickups. That had the mini humbucker, the middle, you know, Strat pickup, and the bridge pickup, the B bender, the blend control, the 3rd knob, the whole 9 yards. So I had a guitar set up identical to Brent's throughout most of the 90s. And that was because, you know, he was playing on almost everything. I mean, yes, there was stuff that Dan Huff and Chris Lusinger and Brent Rowan and other cats were playing on, but Brent Mason was like the guy in the 90s, because it's like all the Brooks and Dunn, all the Alan Jackson, all the George Strait. I mean, just so much stuff, you know, was Brent. And so I kind of went through that phase then. So it was kind of like getting to relive some of that with the Brent Mason guitar. And I think it's a great guitar. It's a great bang for your buck guitar, because, you know, it's like you get a guitar with a mini humbucker, a Strat middle pickup, and a B bender. It's, yeah, it's a good guitar. Oh, any advice on how you use your volume knob? Sometimes I feel like I'm fighting it. I mean, a big thing that people don't think about is you want the volume control to be easy to turn. So sometimes I've played guitars where the pots were just really sticky, and so it's hard to do, you know, it's hard to do swells. So, yeah, and so you want good knobs that are easy to turn, good pots that are easy to turn. You want knobs that feel good, that kind of, you know, that's why Danny Gatton would use the ones that were like really heavily knurled. I don't need that heavy knurl, but, you know, just being able to, you know, really get a good feel with it. And this, so then you can, you know, those were out of tune. Just forget about that. That's a Inside Aerodynamics. Thank you so much. Very kind. I appreciate that. Let's see. I'm trying to see what else he said. Thank you. All right. I wonder which bridge pickup he used in the 90s, you know, before the vintage lead stack. I think he used the Alnico 2 Pro. That was what he used before that. That was a common pickup that that Joe Glazer would put in guitars. That's what he put in Steve Warner and Ricky Skaggs Tellys, and that was kind of like the replacement pickup of choice. And I used that at the time also because of that. You know, the person who found that, you know, Brad Paisley found that out, you know, back in college. He found that out from Joe, that he was putting that in a lot of guitars, because there weren't that many aftermarket pickup makers at the time. And so that was kind of the one. So, also thanks for the tip of no tone control in the neck. Very useful in the in-between positions. I think it's just, I think it's the ultimate wiring schematic, you know, for Telly. I think the broadcaster blend thing is really tempting right now. But as far as just useful for me, I think just the fact that you've made the neck pickup, you know, more usable, you've given it more output, more high end, and then you can just EQ things better, because yeah, you just set your amp controls where the neck pickup sounds good. Then you go to the back position, and what are you going to do? You're going to roll off some treble, and it's right there. And then you don't have to mess around. You've got presets. Oh, hi Zach. Of all the books we see behind you, can you tell us the 3 that made the biggest impression on you? Not particularly about playing, but about life? Wow. This is the guitar book by Tom Wheeler. It was published in the 1970s. This was the first guitar book that that I ever bought. I bought it at the Houston Galleria, shopping mall, and again, I bought it in the 1980s. But I mean, this is where I first saw this ad, and this was part of my falling in love with the Telecaster and such, and there was all this great information about Fender and Gibson, and learning about players like like Chuck Berry and Dwayne Eddy and Jimmy Bryant and Merle Travis and all these other cats. This is a really, really important book to me. This guy, I mean, golly, I mean, I've probably read and gone through this. I bought this at South Texas Music Mart in Corpus Christi, Texas. And it was a place that kind of specialized in sheet music. And they really didn't have a lot of guitar stuff, but went in there for some reason, and I saw this, and oh my goodness, and plus it had, the Ford was by Albert Lee and James Burton. I mean, it was, come on. And it was $16.99 at the time. This is out of print, but you can still get this, on Kindle or electronically, PDF, whatever it is, and it's worth getting. Then, for the third one, I'm gonna, just for his love and friendship, I'm gonna say the Pinecaster book by Nacho, because I think that's the greatest, kind of, just kind of expression of love for the Telecaster, and the artwork by Billy Gibbons, all of his drawings in there and everything. Oh, it's ridiculously great. So someday we need to hear your Branson stories. Yes. So if you really want to, oh golly. The short version of me going to Branson is I gained enough weight competitively eating, with my cousin Lee, because it was all you can eat buffets, 3 meals a day. And we were there for a couple of days. I gained enough weight that my clothes didn't fit. I could not close my pants. I was eating like 4 plates of food every single meal. And we were just making ourselves sick, and it was disgusting. So that's my Branson. Maybe someday I'll tell the full version. But hey Zach, have you ever used Rivera amps? No, I haven't. I just, I remember playing through one at Guitar Res in Austin, Texas, and I plugged into it, and I thought, oh, this sounds good. And I started to reach for the controls, and the owner of the shop said, don't touch it. Don't touch the knobs. We finally got it to sound good. And I was like, uh-oh. So I don't want an amp that only has one setting that sounds good. So I admit I have not given Rivera another chance since then. Of course, I think I've played some of the Fender amps that Rivera designed, in the early 80s. Those are great. Or the amps that Rivera modded. Those are really cool. But I did not care, of course, I haven't really given him enough of a chance. So I should probably try another one. If you couldn't play Telecasters, what would be your next choice for electric guitar? It'd probably be, I'd probably end up playing a Strat or a Jazzmaster, because it would still need to be a Fender, and it would still need to be something with a slab body and a bolt-on neck, and then it'd probably end up being a Jazzmaster, because you can use the tremolo, and also it'll stay in tuning, still bend, it has a twanginess. So yeah, it'd probably be a Jazzmaster. Yeah, Wheeler's book was my first guitar book too when I was a kid. Got it for Christmas. It's great. Hey buddy, I like Frito Cognito's question. If not a Telly, what would you use? Yeah, that was a good question. Yeah, that's old Keith Williams. Say hello to Keith. He's a good man. I was on his live stream back on Thursday. We talked about deluxes and Princetons and all that junk. I'm going to need to go in a couple minutes, so I've got to go pick up my daughter from a pool party, and my wife is at she's doing continuing ed because she's a physical therapist. So I'm going to need to get off in a couple minutes. Let's see. Is there a link to the diagram? All you have to do is go to askzac.com and go into articles, and it's there, and it says no tone, or just Google no tone, on neck pickup, Ask Zac, and it'll come up with a link. So it's also, I've done a couple of videos on it, and the links are in the description of those videos. Thoughts on custom leather tuck and roll amps made in Kansas? I thought those were really cool. I played through a number of them in the 80s. They just ended up kind of being around. I thought they were really fat sounding. If anything, I thought some of them didn't have enough kind of sparkle to the high end. But I played through one that had both tremolo and vibrato, and it sounded amazing. It was a really, really cool amp. We need more Ask Zac picks. Well, if you're a member of my Patreon, then I send out Ask Zac picks as part of the thing. So if you are a member of that, and I can't remember if Captain Sexy, if you're a Patreon member, then just message me through there and I'll send you some more Ask Zac picks. Absolutely. Pier Head Jump. Hi from San Francisco. Well, guys, I need to call it, but I want to thank you all for hanging out with me this Sunday afternoon. It's been fantastic. I'm going to go pick up my daughter from a pool party. Y'all have a great afternoon, and I'll see you Sunday. So I'll release another regular Ask Zac episode, and we'll have a good time. All right, guys. Bye-bye.